I'm sharing a screen now. So you might have heard, I mean, there are 10, 20 machine coding questions, machine round coding questions asked in most of the React interviews. Okay. And one of them, see, a lot of things that I've already taught and already the videos are there in YouTube. There is a playlist of machine round question. Today we'll do one of them. Okay. So here what we'll do is I'll just give you a brief of what we'll be doing. Let me write. So basically, this is a very, very common question. Use local storage.js. I'll just get okay. Then I'll answer you. So basically, what the interviewer will ask you is that you create a custom hook. Okay, you know hooks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know hooks, right? So basically, if you create maybe a theme, if you create a basically, I'm just trying to imitate a. I'm trying giving an example of a use state. Okay, basically, use state is used as a setting of the initial state of any component, right? You are aware of it, right? The use state is used
Hmm.
to set the initial state of initial state means anything you can. So we can have any number of use state. Ideally, we shouldn't have more use state variables because that will make the components very clumsy and it will be very difficult to handle the state because you know that whenever the state changes, the component gets re-rendered, right? So those problems are there. If you use more use state, that is the problem. And there are a lot of other ways to stop the re-rendering and everything using use effect and then use memo and all those things, React memo and all those things. But use state is generally used for small applications. Okay, big application we don't use state only. We use mostly Redux and use state is very locally, very minimal we are using. Okay, but this is used to store uh, data. Okay, locally. Okay, which means that when you re-render the page, this value will be available. So what's the difference between a state variable and a normal variable? Normal variable, when you re-render, the value will go away, whatever value you have changed, right? But with use state, what happens is that when you re-render, the value will be there. Okay, that's the benefit of it. But we know ever of it, right? Now, someone will ask you create a custom hook. So these are called what? Hooks, right? React
Yeah.
hooks. In React hooks, we are having use state, use effect, okay, use memo. There is all these things are there, right? There are other like use transition is there, and all those things are all are hooks. They will ask you, you create a custom hook. First of all, why we need to create a custom hook? Anything custom means, I mean, it is serving specific purpose, right? So if you're creating a custom function, when suppose someone is giving you a date and then they ask you to show the date in a particular format, right? So there is a date and you show it in a particular format. So that function can be used multiple times, right? That particular date format can be used multiple times across the application. Instead of writing the same 2, 3 lines of code every time, you create a simple custom function somewhere in a utility file, right? That is also normal function only, and then you use it every time we need to convert the date. Okay, that's the example of a custom function, basically, right? Now, similarly, a custom hook is nothing but you create you have a hook, but that hook will serve specific purpose. For example, this hook is use state, and this use state is used to set up, uh, you know, set up the initial state of initial value is dark for theme, and then we can change the theme by calling the set theme as whatever value you want to pass. Now value can be a simple value, or it can be a string value, or it can be a callback also you can pass, that we are ever of, right? Okay, why it is calling like this? Yeah. Okay, inside a function only you have to call. Okay, got it. Uh, so that is the use state. Now, if I ask you to create a custom hook, then what I mean is you can use any of the existing React hooks, but that custom hook should behave as a hook, which means that you have to give some initial value, and you can change the value by passing a function like this, right? So here theme, the initial value dark is assigned to theme, and using set theme, I can I can change the value of this theme. That is what we are doing in these two lines of code, right? So similarly, when you are creating a when you are creating a custom hook, basically we'll be using the use state, and we'll be creating specific purpose, some custom function you to write. That means if someone is asking create a custom hook where you can set up a theme, okay, then you have to create a custom function basically, which uses a use state inside, but it returns a new theme every time they call a the set function. Okay. Similarly, someone will ask you create a custom hook for a local storage, right? So someone asks you create a custom hook which will behave as a local storage. Why someone will ask you? First of all, why someone will ask you create a custom hook for local storage? Why someone will ask you? First of all, the reason someone will ask you to create a custom hook local storage if you are using local storage at multiple places for an application, right? So in local storage, what you can do? You can do local storage dot get item. Okay, you can get the values that is there in local storage, or you can do a set item, right? Primarily, you can set the key with some value, right? Or you can maybe delete the local storage, clear the local storage. All the things are there, right? Clear local storage. I'm forgetting the syntax, but you can delete the values that is there in the local storage, or clear the values that is there in the local storage, right? So those things, if functionalities of local storage, if you are using multiple times, instead of using maybe 10, 15, 20 lines are there, 50 lines are there of only local storage get item, set item, get item, set item every time. So to reduce it, we will create a simple custom function that is also called as a custom hook. Why? Because we'll be using a use state inside it. Right? Now you understood the scenario, right? Why someone will ask you custom hook for a local storage? Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the question is how to do it. How to create a local storage custom hook. Okay. Simple thing is that you have to remember two things. One is what does a local storage do, and what does a use state does. Okay. So local storage can you can set some values to a existing key. Okay, or you get the values from an existing key. Simple. That is the work of local storage. We'll focus on only these two functionalities. There are other functionalities of local storage also, like clearing and everything. We'll not do that. We'll just focus on we can do that, but let's focus on only two functionalities. Okay. And what does a use state does? We can set initial value. Okay, and we can update the value. Two things, right? These four things we have to keep in mind. Okay. Now I created a file called use local storage to create the custom hook. Okay. Now let's start. Okay, the custom hook is nothing but a simple function, okay, which we can export it. So I'll just write here use local storage. Okay, this is a simple function which we can export it. Okay, I just export it. So export default use local storage. Now why I wrote use? Because every hook starts with use only. Okay, we can name it anyway, but it's a ideal way to write a custom hook who should start with use. Okay, this is one thing. Now, these use local storage hook think that it is a use state. Okay, think that this is a use state only. Now, use state accepts what? Initial value and will update some value, right? Sorry, whenever you are, yeah, Susan, tell me.
No. I'm just listening. Yeah.
Now, this is a custom hook, is what I'm saying. Now, if I want to use this custom hook, suppose here I want to use this custom hook. Okay. So if I want to use this custom hook over here, for example, okay. So what I have to do? I have to do here like this const maybe my so what I can do is maybe a theme variable I'll create, and I want to set the theme, for example, um, and I will use the use local storage. Okay, like this I have to use, right? Like how we are using a use state, right? We are using, okay, how I'm using a use state. We are using something like this, right? Use state we are doing. and we are passing some values, whatever initial value we are passing, right? The initial value we are passing. Like this, we are using a use state, right? Similarly, use local storage also we have to use in this manner. But the use local storage, what it will do is that for any local storage, what we pass? We pass a key, right? We pass a key. Maybe I'll just pass. Okay, maybe I'll pass the value directly, or maybe I'll just pass the key. Okay, let me pass a key of theme, and value is maybe light. Okay, like this, I have to pass, right? Okay, this can be a string. This is a key, right? So okay, like this I can pass. Okay, and here what you have to do is that I'll get the value in the form of key, and this is the default value that I'm getting. Okay. So while using it, we have to call this particular function, and we have to pass this value as theme, whatever value is theme, and then the value that we are basically we are passing the key as well as value, right? Because local storage needs these two things, key and value, right? Now, whenever we are creating a hook, what we are doing, we are returning. If I'm using a use state, I'm having a initial value setup, and I'm returning the kind of so okay, let me write over here. When I'm using a, okay, let me first of all create a state storage set. Okay, okay, we'll do this later, but I'm just want to give one example. Okay, let me give this example only. So whenever you are using a use state, what we are doing, we are giving some initial value, so that that initial value will be there in the my local storage. Okay, and basically when you are using a use state, what it returns, if you hover over use state, it is saying that it will returns a stateful value and a function to update it. That means it is returning two things. One is a value and one is a function which can update this value, right? Now, since this use local storage is a hook like a use state, which means that it should return similarly two things, okay, which should be an array, okay? And this should return two things. One is the value, that is my local storage I will be returning, and the set my local storage I have to not set my local storage, maybe something else, maybe set okay, what I'm using here, the name, set theme, whatever. Maybe I'll just use set set local storage value. Okay, like this. Okay, these are the two things it will return. One is the one value, and then one function which can change this particular value. Okay, this much clear what it is returning, because every use case is returning an array. Okay, is it little confusing whatever I'm explaining?
Just go to that second thing. Use
Wait.
local storage page.
So any use state is there, na? This use state will, if you hover over the use state, it will say that it will return only two things. Okay, here not written here. Use state. Okay, so if you hover over it, it is saying that it returns a stateful value and a function to update it. Basically, that means whatever and in an array. That's the reason I'm destructuring it. I'm destructuring the value returned. That value will be one initial value, and it will return one more function that can change the initial value. Okay, that's the behavior of a use state. Similarly, these use local storage also does the same thing, because we have to use the use local storage here. Okay, which means that here it should return, it should behave similarly like that of a use state only, right? So that's the reason it should return two things. One is the initial value, which will be set into the theme, and one is a functionality which can use to change this theme or whatever. Right now I've written here theme, so basically it should return two things. So I'm returning two things. One is the value, one is a function. And this function is not this one, okay? This function is used to change this value. Okay, remember, this function is used to change this value. Okay. Tell me what doubt now.
No, got it. Yeah,
Got it, right? This much clear. Forget about this. Just this much clear, right?
yeah.
Means the initial value, so that this initial value will be stored here, and I'm returning a function which can be used to change this initial value. Simple. Whether it's a theme or whatever, this is a normal value name I'm returning, variable name. Any variable name I can write. Basically, I have to return two things. One should be a initial value, one should be a function which can change the initial value. So, are you clear what I'm telling here?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
I joined from middle, but yes, till this
Clear,
much used it, I am clear.
clear, right? Now what we'll do? This much we are returning. Okay. So if you are returning the initial state here, I have to set the value over here, right? Because I am passing the value, whatever value key, whatever value I'm passing, these key value I have to take here. I have to set these values over here, right? How to set a value of in any variable. In any variable, how to set a value. If I'm not using useState, I could have written something like this, right? Maybe const my local, so the same name. I would have taken here default value, right? But it won't be in a key value format, or I would have done something like this. Okay, the key is the key, and the value is the default value. Like this, I would have done. In a normal object, I could have done, and I could have written it. But the problem with this is this approach is not a good approach. Why it is not a good approach? It is not a good approach because this value will go away whenever we are moving to a separate page. Separate page in sense like these values should always remain in a local storage, right? If I'm not setting it up properly in the local storage, then how I'll utilize in other places, right? And that's the reason this is not a right manner. Or I could have done something like this, like I could have taken the local storage and then set item I would have done, and I've taken the key, and I would have passed the default value like this. Every time you send the default value, I am storing inside the set item. Like this, I would have done. That is also a good approach. But then the problem with that is the reason I'm showing this is why we are using a state variable and not a normal variable like this, because whenever you are not using the use local storage function, I mean this function basically you are not using it, then the value that you had already set might go away. Okay, that's the reason we are always using a use state to store this value, and these are many benefits there when I'm writing the code. Okay, this much understood why I'm using a use state kind of a approach and not a normal approach. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Now what we'll do is we have to set the whatever value we are getting, we have to set the value. Now in use state, you can set the value like this, that I can write simply key value like this I could have written. Instead of using a callback, I could have simply written the initial value as maybe a default value like this I would have written easily. But there are a lot of other problems related to this because I have to update every time. So when I have to update every time, I have to call the set my local storage and I have to update. So there are a lot of problems will happen. To avoid that problem, we are using in a callback approach. So there are basically three different ways in which you can set a initial value of a state. One is direct way, like how I've written. One is through an object. If I want to change only the certain values of an, so there is a form. I use a use state for that form, and that form has many keys. That means property value pairs, and I have to update only one property value because only one field I have changed. In that case, I can use this object manner of updating it. Okay, you might be able just Google search, okay, or maybe just check in YouTube. And the third way is using a callback approach. If you want to, if for more complex cases like this, we can use a callback approach. Okay, through callback approach also we can basically set the, so right now whatever we are doing is setting the initial value of my local source, right? Okay. Now here also we have to, we in this approach, third approach, which is a for complex cases, we are using this approach to store or give the initial value to my local storage. Okay. Now what we have to do? Now I am passing a key, right? From here, when I'm calling this use local source, I'm passing a key as theme and value as let, for example. Okay. Now for I have whatever my goal is now, my goal is to set the initial value of my local storage. Okay. And how I can set the initial value of my local storage? First of all, what I will do is whether my local storage with that particular key is already there or not. Means, is there any value? First of all, let's check in the local storage, is there any value or not before setting. If there is some value, then I will just return that value, right? Okay. So for example, what I'm trying to say is local storage dot get item, I'll pass the key. Okay. If I do like this, what it will return? It will return this some value. Okay. If for this particular key, there is some value is there, that means if I write if the value is there, suppose the value is there. Okay. If the value is there, what I have to do? I will simply return the value, but I'll not return the value directly. If you remember in local storage, whenever we are setting some value, now we are always stringifying it. Why? Because local storage always stores value in a string format. Okay. So whenever I get the value, I get in a stringified format. Whatever value you are setting, it will be always be getting in a stringified format. So always do a parse and then return it. Okay. Always using data from local storage, you have to parse it, then use it. Okay. Now what I have done here, I am checking for this key if there is already an existing value is there or not. If there is a value, then I'm returning that value. So whenever I'm returning this value will be assigned to my local storage. Forget whether you are calling or not, whether you are passing or not. Even if you are not passing here, that is how we are doing it here, right? If there is a value already, then that value will be there over here, right? If there is no value, right? There is no value already, then I will set this default value to my local storage, right? Which means that what I have to do is local storage dot set item, because there is no key in this format, right? There is no key right now. That means there is no key with key value pair is not there. For that particular key, there is no value is there, or that particular key is not there at all. So here I'm saying if that particular key has some value, then return the value. And this value will be stored in the my local storage initial. This makes the initial value of this my local storage. But if there is no key and value, right? In that case, what you have to do is local storage dot set item. I'll just set the item as key. Then I will do JSON dot stringify. Okay. And what I will stringify? I will stringify the default value. Okay. Now I've set this value, and then what I have to do is I have to return this default value. Okay. Now when I'm returning what happened default value, when I'm returning the default value, this value is now stored in the my local storage. So there are two things that is happening. What is happening? First of all, what is our goal here? Our goal is to initialize my local storage. Okay. How can we initialize my local storage? We can initialize my local storage by checking but we have to initialize with what? We have to initialize with whatever we are passing over here, right? Whatever key value pair we are passing, we have to initialize it, not by directly initializing it. If there is no key value pair like that, then I am creating I'm just creating a new key value pair here, and I'm returning the value that I'm passing. So my local storage has this right now what I'm passing light, right? So it will have light. Okay. If there is a key value pair, then whatever is the value that will. So basically we are just setting up the initial value. That's it. This much clear, right? And basically we can do this inside a try catch because there can be problems later. So I just okay, inside try catch. Okay. And if there is a error, then I just need to simply return the default value. So you see, I'm doing two things here. What I'm doing, I'm setting up the local storage also. Okay, and I'm returning the setting up the value. So two things are happening. One is setting the initial value of my local storage. That is one thing I'm doing. And second thing that I'm doing over here is creating a new key value in local storage. Okay, two things I'm doing. Okay. Now, so whenever a person is using the use local storage custom function over here, whenever he is passing some value, he is always expecting that in the local storage, the with this key value, some value will be created. Okay. Now through this, I have just created a value, a key value in the local storage through this. Okay. If it is already there, then I'm setting this my local storage as the value that is already there. If it is not there, then in the local storage, a new key value pair will be created. This much clear, right? Clear? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Sumit. And that error, what it is?
Which error?
Error, catch error.
Catch error is, suppose there is some issue over here. By default, what I want to do? By
Set
default,
item.
I want to always set, because someone is passing this value from here now. When I'm using it, I'm
Yes.
passing this value. So that guy is expecting it to get created. So in some case, if some issue happens here, it's not like I'll write only this much code. I can write so much other code also. Now, in practically, I'm saying in office, when you work on these, you can a lot of code over here, right? If for some reason, if some why try catch is used generally, try catch is used in the try block. If any error is there, then in the catch block, I'm catching up the error. So whatever error is there, I'll just write all these lines over here, whatever lines. But I want this thing to happen by default, whether it happens over here or it happens over here, whatever. Because for
Okay.
some reason over here, maybe some error happens, then this will not get executed, means the user is expecting that to happen now.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in that case, it should happen either in the try or in the catch. In both the case, this should happen. This particular default thing should happen. That means
Okay.
setting of the values should happen anyway. Because that is what the user is expecting from you. Right? So that's the reason I
Okay.
went inside the catch also. Understood?
Yes. Yes, Sumit.
So that means basically we are doing two things. One is we are setting default value of my local storage, and second is we are creating a new key value pair in the local storage. Simple. Okay. Why are setting default value? This is for our own business reason that we will be writing over here. Why are setting the local storage set item? Because the user wants us to create a key value pair in the local storage. Okay. Now, the first task is over, that we are setting some value in the local storage. Here, this first task is over. So I can just return the my local storage here. So because my local storage now has either the default value or the value that is already existing. So this part is clear. Okay. Now, second is, if that person is calling this particular function, set my local storage, basically this should be here, not theme. It should be this function, and this theme should not be theme. It should be my local storage. Okay. Because that is what we are returning now. Or you can have whatever you want to have, that also you can have, not a problem. Because the same thing I'm exporting, why I shouldn't use it, right? Now, using this set my local storage, so whenever the user does hear something like this, set my local storage value, what the user is expecting. So the user is saying that, okay, change it to dark theme. The user is saying, okay, change it to dark theme, which means that the user is calling this set my local storage function, and he is passing this particular value. Okay, so why he is passing this particular value? Because he wants to change the initial value of my local storage, which is light, and he want to change it to dark now. Okay, in that case, I have to create this particular function, right? So this function I have to create. Just create here set my local storage value, right? This function, what it will do is So here I can pass the value directly in this command. So what are the different ways in which you can set a value in a use state? How are the different ways? Directly by passing this value I can pass, okay, or I can pass in the form of object, right? If I'm using a form, or I can use a callback to set up some value, right? Maybe I'll just have a previous value if you remember. So some, do you remember, right? When you were reading, setting up the value in use state, you would have done something like this, right?
Yeah.
Previous value plus plus or minus minus, whatever you want to do, right? Which means that it takes the previous value and it returns a new value. So in the callback manner also you can change the value, set a new value. In the direct manner also you can do, or in the object format. In the object format you have to do something different, like maybe something like this. If I remember correctly, you have to have something like this. Previous value, and then I'm forgetting, but might be something like this, right? Previous value plus something. I'm forgetting. Okay, these are the one or two different ways in which you can. So imagine that you are passing a callback, and then this callback approach we are doing. Okay. So based on what type of data you are using, whether it's functional data you are using, or direct string value, or whatever value you are using, based on that we should have all the scenarios, right? Which means that here I have to check the type of data that you will be passing, right? So I'm just write here value. Okay. Now, if the type of the value is a function, that means if you're passing in the callback manner, okay, in that case, what I will do, I just need to call that callback function straight. And if you remember what I wrote over here, into this callback, what we are passing the previous value, and then we are returning a something. I take the previous value, and then maybe I'll just do a plus one or whatever. And I update the new value, right? So like this, I will be doing it, right? Or maybe I'll just write here, since I'm passing here light, I can return maybe dark over here. For example, whatever. I'm passing the previous value. I will be okay. The previous value I can't write over here, right? So, okay. So previous value can be replaced by, I don't know, something I'm just telling you. Maybe I have to use the previous value, right? Okay, let me consider as maybe I'm just increasing the count to 1, right? Like this I have to write. Basically, I have to use the previous value and change it to a new value, right? So in that case, I have to pass this particular previous value into the function, right? So imagine that this is a pure function which is expecting a value to be passed so that it will return a new value, right? Which means that when I'm calling this value over here, I have to pass the previous value. Now the previous value is what? Just now we set the previous value. Just now whatever the value is there, that we have set up, right? So I'm passing this my local storage, okay? And I'm passing the callback, and it is returning what? It is returning a new value, okay? And that new value I'll be storing it somewhere here. Maybe I just create a new value, okay? Like this, and let's create a new value over here. This one understanding little complex, but try to understand, okay, or see this particular video multiple times. When I upload, it will be clear, okay? But I'm just trying to divide this particular trying to explain you in very simple manner, okay? So if you are setting up something in a callback fashion, I have to pass the previous value. So I have passed the previous value here, and when I'm returning the new value, I am just storing that new value inside this new value. Okay. Now, if you have passed the value directly, for example, you have passed the value directly, in that case, what will happen? So this val will not be a function, now it will be some string or whatever. In this case, string, because we are dealing with string here. So what it will do is that the new value, okay, now becomes what? The value that you are passing, right? Now, when I get the new value, so what I have to do is that I have to return the new value. That is one thing that I have to do. But then I have to set in the locus storage, I also have to update, right? So since I've already set the value over here, that means key value over here, I don't have to, write a get item, set item, or check this part. I don't have to write it again because I'm already checking it. Here, just I do the set item, and I have to set the key with this JSON dot stringify this new value. Clear? So here also I'm doing two things. One is I'm setting the key with a new value that I'm passing over here. Okay, whether in a functional manner I get the value, or in a string manner directly if I get the value, whatever the new value, I'm just setting it over here. As well as I am returning the new value here, because that is what is expected from here. This set my local storage will always get a new value, so that our my local storage over here will be set up with a new value over here. Okay, now everything is completed. Okay, so I'll just give you a recall, refresh again. So what I'm doing, I'm using use local storage. I'm passing the initial some value over here, and I expecting that in the local storage these values should be created. Okay, so what I'm doing in the try catch block, I'm getting the value, I'm getting the key value over here, and I'm checking if for this particular key value is already existing, then I'm just returning the value. That means this value will be stored in the my local storage. That is one thing. If this key value is not there, I'm creating this key value over here, and then I'm returning the default value I'm passing over here. That means my local storage has the latest value. Okay. Now, if I want to change some value, then I have to write a function over here. I can change it by calling a callback, or I can change it by directly. So if it is a callback, that means I'm checking if it's a function, then I am calling the callback, to which I have to pass the parent value or previous value, whatever. I shouldn't write here previous value. I think I should write here current value. Right? It's not the previous value, it's the current value. And should be current value, not previous value. So here I am just getting the new value. Okay, and if it is simply a string, then I'm just similarly getting new value, which means that the key should be updated with this new value, and then these new values should also be returned, because that will be updating this particular variable over here. Clear, right? Now let's see whether whatever written is successful or not, whether it is creating the local storage, or when it is updating it or not. Okay, so what I will do is just set it as dark. Okay. So what is expected? It should be creating a new value in the locus locus, whether I'm using it or not. I don't think we need to use it anything, because this is simple a function, right? Okay. So just right here. Use local storage custom hook demo, something like that. Right? Okay. Okay. So let it compile. Now when I go to the application, let's see if in the application, in the local storage part, is there anything? See, it is already there. So okay, let me what I will do. Okay, so I'm just deleting everything. Okay, I'm just running it. So it is coming as undefined type, but this value is getting created, right? Okay. So why it is getting undefined? It should be there in the theme name, right? So okay, let me do a dry run. Okay, I'm passing this key as theme. Okay, it doesn't know what is a theme, right? Okay, so what I can do is maybe, okay, let this be a string also. Let this be also a string. Hmm? So this is a theme, which is the key, and this is the value, which is light. Okay, so I pass this value over here, key value. I get the key and value here. I'm checking whether that particular value is there or not. Uh, if it is there, then I'm setting it up here. If it is not there, I'm getting the set item of with these keys or value. Okay, clear. Okay, this is clear. If I'm calling it, okay, let's not call directly because that will update everything. But let's see if it is getting created or not. Okay, okay. So right now, how it is there? So it is there in this format, right? Hmm? Right now, okay. Okay, now it is expected that we should create a key as theme and value as light. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's remove everything and then just let's do it again. Okay, okay. Now if I just refresh, I should create a key as theme and value as light because that is what is the first thing I'm passing. Okay, theme and light. Okay. Now what I will do is let's create one button and do it. So let's create a simple button where I can update the theme. Okay. So BUTTY. Okay, now okay, like this. That will be update theme, something like this. Update theme. So I'm telling that on click. What I'll do is handle theme. This functional I'll call. Okay. Now in the handle theme is a simple function. In this function, what I do is this particular thing I just want to bring down. Okay. This is what I want to do it here. So what I want to do, I want to set up my local storage value I'm calling, which means that I just want to change this. So I think I have to pass in this manner, right? Okay, let's see what happens. Then we can change. Okay, so when I save over here, and when I click on the update theme, the light should change to dark, right? Right? You saw that light change to dark. When I click again, it will not change because it is not toggling it. Okay, so if I want to do a kind of a toggle thing, then I should do something different. Is I do it here. I can do something like this again. Guys, observe carefully. Okay, these are important things. I know this is a little tough, but this is important. Hmm? Especially for you, Sasak. If current value is right, then returning dark. Current return might be might work. Okay, so let's see. So okay, okay. Okay, so initially it become dark because I'm just setting it up. Okay. So initially, okay, let's refresh this. Initially the value is dark. Why it is happening? Okay. Okay, local storage, one problem is there because it will not update every time that you are setting it up, right? Because it will always be there. Hmm? So whatever previous value was there, that is already there because here we are what we are doing. If the value is there, then I'm setting up the default value. till I call the update theme. When I click on the update theme, then it changes to light. If I click here again, I'm expecting it to change to dark, but it's not happening, which means that our setting of this is not working correctly. Okay, but you got the idea, right? What we are doing through this custom fields, we can have other ways. Ideally, we shouldn't. Okay, we can. So instead of doing it over here, I can move this guy from here to outside. Okay, I just instead of current value, I'll just have my local storage. Okay? So I'll just write here my local storage start, then return. I don't know, maybe it will work. It might not work. Not sure. Because use state, I mean, these things doesn't happen immediately, updates immediately. If it is light, I'm expecting it to change dark. If it is dark, I'm expecting it to change it to light. Okay. That is what I'm expecting. Let's see. So I saved everything. If I click over here, it is not changing. No, yeah, it will not change because we can't set a particular hook using if block in this manner. It is not the right approach. Okay. I just was trying whether it will work or not. But this one understood. Custom hook. Shashank and Surjit.
Yes.
Okay. So this is an important 100% question kind of, because this is asked in most of the interviews. Okay.
Sumit, can we do like that? Like, suppose local storage it is created and then we remove and then update the state. Like
That
remove.
we can do now. Just giving an example here now. So that
Okay.
what we have to do is, that is what we are doing it. If the key value is, if the particular key is there already, then it is having here. I mean, I'm not doing a setup over here. Am I doing a set item over here? No, right? I'm
No.
not doing a set item over here. I'm doing a set item if the
Get
key value is
item.
not there.
Hmm.
So in this case, if it is there, we can do a simple thing. We can just do a local storage dot remove item. It will check the key and then just write the kind of, we can do this. Okay, let's see if this is working. Okay, so it is expecting that if the value is there, it should remove it, and so it should remove it. So it means that initially, okay, it is not that means it is not removing it. If value is there, we are removing it, right? So I think this should remove it. Okay. There is one problem with local servers also. Once it get created, it's not easy to remove. Okay, let's see if it is getting at least, or maybe we can do. Can we do it over here? No, we can't do it over here because here we can only update the value, na. So we can't. Maybe we can do it. But we don't need to do it because nothing we have to create new. Only we are updating the value, so which we are doing it already. But while setting it up, because setup will be done only once. If it is already there, then we don't have to do it again. And if we remove it, then next time, okay, wait, let me think about it. Whenever I'm passing
Session.
so whenever initially I'm having the value already, if it is there, then I'm removing it. Okay, I'm removing it. And when I'm setting it up, that means when I click on update theme, then I am setting it up again, right? So when I click on update theme, I'm setting it up. So I think what is happening is, uh, when you remove an item, then whether it should be removed from here or that will be how it will be reflected. Suppose if I refresh this, no, ideally it should be removed here because it is already there, so it is removing. It should remove it, but it is not removing from here. Okay, so if I remove it, let's do a log and check. Okay, because here it might not reflect, but in the log we can see now. So what we can do it, local storage dot get item of key. So then we'll know whether it is correctly removing it or not. Okay, clear, right? We can do through this.
Yes.
So when I say over here, it is getting initially loaded, right? In the console, it is null. So it is removing it. Line number 11. So it is removing
Yes.
it. So this part is already removed. But if you see in the application, it is still there, right? No, in the because the application doesn't get. I think it doesn't gets updated immediately. Might be because here also I'm just clicking on clear all to clear it. Okay. One more thing, we can clear the local storage also, right? Instead of removing, if I just clear it, will it update? This is updating, no, right? Same only. Here also no. Which means that whether I'm using a remove or I'm using clear, here in the application it is not updating immediately, but in the log we can see that the values are not there, right? And okay, so whenever I'm updating, then let's do a log here also to see if in the local storage the values are there or not. Okay, obviously it will be there because we are creating, right? Get item. Okay, so let's see. So initially it will be null. When I click over here, it is dark. Okay, so twice it is dark. Okay, that means when I'm clicking over here, the updation is happening, and here also it's changing. Okay, so here it is not getting reflected because the value is same, but here we can see that okay, it is updating every time whenever we are clicking, right? Because we are doing a set item every time we are clicking over here. Ideally, if this would have worked, this portion, then we could have seen the, dark light like this, but this is not updating it properly. Maybe I'm doing something wrong because I'm touching this hook after a long time. And every time dark. It's a little- This should have worked then, no? Okay, but I can use this to display it over here, right? Something like this. The updated value can be seen over here also instead of the. Okay, so let's see what other can. Okay, okay. So my local service dot theme after that. Did not what is saying. After a long time, I'm touching a reactor. That hooks objects are not valid as a reactor file object. So, okay, okay. So there are key with keys my local storage. So which means that it is asking us to iterate and then show it. That is what it is doing because it's an object now, and there is some value inside it. So it is saying that you can iterate to the object and then you can just show the keys, the key and value. Okay, so it is saying if you want to render collection of children, use an array instead. it is saying that you can iterate through it. So basically, we are trying to display a object, but it is not displaying an object. So something like this we are doing that. Get the value inside it. Okay. Anyway, because in the log also we are seeing the same value, so not a problem. But you understood this custom hook?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See this video multiple times so that you will understand it. Okay.
Okay.